How's it going? I'm Visionary. This is Visionary Decks, and today we're going to be taking a look at Day 7 of card reveals for the Heart of the Huntress expansion. Let's take a look. Alright. Dragon Prince Grinzo. A 2-mana 2/2, a 2 dragon in Bilgewater? He doesn't even look like a... He looks like a... It looks like a fake dragon. Looks like a rapper. What is happening here? He's got like a little... Is he taking a bubble bath? It's got like a bubble bath mustache. Each round, the first time you summon a 1-cost ally, refill 1 spell mana. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. This immediately makes me think of the promoter card, right? Perfidious Promoter, who just gives you units in hand every time you refill spell mana. This guy would probably actually work really well with him. You drop him turn 2, you already get a tune, so it's you have 2 spell mana. Assuming you didn't play a 1-cost ally yet. Each round, the first time you summon a 1-cost ally, refill 1 spell mana. So he sort of chains with Promoter. You play a 1-mana unit, it refills a spell mana, which is super solid. And then Promoter gives you like a 4-mana unit in hand, 5-mana unit in hand, 6-mana unit, depending on what turn it is. This guy actually seems pretty good. It's hilarious to me that he's a dragon. Because like, I don't know. Just the fact that he has dragon enables some pretty funny things with him. Nico does not have dragon subtype as part of her origin, so I guess he would not fit into a Nico deck, which is something to consider. I guess he's probably more of a Nami card. Nami likes to play a lot of 1-drops. This is a super like easy way to cheat out extra mana. Not only does she get 1 attune mana from him, you also get 1 mana each subsequent turn that he's on board. That's really good. He seems actually like he's a really good card for Nami. Other than that, I don't know, man. Is Promoter ever going to really be a good type of, like, deck archetype? This guy definitely works with Promoter, but I don't think he's good enough to make Promoter playable, unfortunately. Chemtech Catermobile. I'm going to assume this Catter, like a caterpillar, because it looks like a caterpillar. Dude, this thing is goofy. I love it already. 3-mana PNZ 0/4 with quick attack. I have +1/+0 for each 1-cost ally you have summoned this game. Interesting. So I feel like this is a Husk card right away. I'm pretty sure Husks are 1 mana. I'm just trying to think about like archetypes that summon an insane amount of 1-cost allies. Obviously Blade Dance, which is no longer a thing. Sand Soldiers, maybe. This is actually not that bad. Like, 4 health is big. This reminds me a lot of the whatever it is, augmented Fae in Bandle City that we got, the Fae Blade Twirler, but augmented. I don't remember what it's called, like Fae Contraption or something. That's essentially what this card is, except this card has 1 more health. You're paying 1 more mana, and it's 4 HP. 4 HP is a big difference. The fact that it does take into account like all 1-cost allies you've summoned before you've even played it, doesn't have to sit there and watch you play them, is kind of sick. I do like that. The problem is this guy like doesn't work with anything in PNZ, really. Like, what PNZ deck wants to summon a bunch of 1-cost units? There's cat printers. I guess in cat printer, if you're playing Evil K, she does reduce the cost of cats to 1 mana. If you're just summoning a bunch of cats in cat printer, this guy is like a pretty high attack 4 health unit. Do you really need that in cat printer? No. But like, okay, there's some synergy. I don't know. All right, Snowy Razorclaw, a 7-mana 7/7 overwhelm bird in Freljord. Has a big bird. Plunder, grow an ally's stats to mine. This seems to me like a Bard card. Seems to me like a Revna card. Seems to me like a card that is good, even if you don't top deck a lot of Chimes. Don't top deck your Revna in time. And if you do happen to have that kind of setup where you played a Revna or you played a Bard, this will just make something like a 15/15. I like this card a lot. This card is also very, very good for just like finishing off a Bard level up. If it's turn 7 and your Bard is not leveled yet, you play this guy. Your Bard is definitely leveled. You play this guy in like an Esmus. It's insane. Now, he does need Plunder to be activated, so if you're playing Bard, that's like going to mean you have to attack. I guess you could be playing maybe Ember Maiden to get like that round start Plunder effect. I don't even know if Ember Maiden is still in standard, but that is like the one downside of this guy is to get the grow effect, you really have to attack most of the time. There's not a lot of decks you're going to play this guy in that are able to activate the Plunder without just probably being an aggro deck, I guess. I don't know, what kind of deck would activate Plunder without attacking? I guess like a Samira deck maybe, but Samira really doesn't want a 7-mana 7/7. Does she? Is this like the big Samira finisher? I don't think it is. I don't know. I mean, it seems like a decent card. The Plunder effect, the fact that it has to be Plunder is like kind of weighing it down a little bit, but it's pretty good. Honestly, solid card. I don't know what type of deck it will go in, but it seems pretty good to me. Ingvar the Younger. This is, okay, so supposedly this is like lore-wise, like the little girl who creates Poro King. So this probably is going to work with Poro King in some way. Probably a Poro King card. 2 mana, 2/1. Pick an ally. Grant it and all other allies that share a subtype with it. +1/+1. Or manifest a follower that shares a subtype with it. I mean, that's insane. That actually is so it's basically like a free Poro Snacks. You would almost always play this in a Poro deck, but you could also play this with Weapon Masters. This is not a bad card to splash in. Actually, okay, interesting. I thought it was grant allies everywhere, but it's not allies everywhere. It's only allies on board. This is still okay with Weapon Masters. Because it is Freljord, so like if you're playing Jax Ornn, you could drop this. Maybe turn 6, turn 7. The problem is you do want to drop this later then. I thought it was everywhere, but if you're dropping this turn 2, you'd probably much rather just play it for the manifest than actually the board buff. But this is not bad. It's flexible. It's a flexible card that like you either get a free card when you play it, or if it's like later in the game, turn 8, you buff your entire board by +1/+1. It's okay. It's a flexible 2-drop that's like almost a Reggie, but for Poros. It's kind of good. It's not that bad. It's actually like a decent card. Glacial Saurian. A 5-mana 5/5 reptile from Freljord. Finally some good stats, man. We have had way too many just like 2/2s this expansion. Thank you. A 5-mana 5/5. That is what I like to see. When I'm summoned, grant the top 3 units in your deck +1/+1. Okay, so it's the Freljord like board buff or deck buff archetype. If an ally has different subtype than me, draw one of those units. Interesting. So it's if an ally on board has a different subtype, not if one of the units in your deck that you buff has a different subtype. This is decent. This is not bad. It's a good stat. It's part of the subtype archetype. It's going to buff and draw a unit most of the time. Would you rather play this than the Avarosan Hearthguard, who buffs your entire deck +1/+1? I would say yeah, probably. Even though it only buffs 3 units, the fact that it draws one like almost every time you play it probably makes it worth it. Not bad, honestly. Not a bad card. And this finally gives us a way to hit reptiles in Freljord, which is like one of the few subtypes Freljord does not have access to. Freljord actually has a lot of subtypes. This is like one of the ones that was missing, so this is actually really solid. Temple to True Ice. 3-mana Freljord landmark. When you summon an ally, grow its health to equal its power. Wait, but no, but that's just that's basically that's like the Demacia landmark but better. Isn't this better? Why do I feel like this is better than the Demacia landmark? So obviously this is good with Ashe. You play Ashe. Her biggest weakness is she has 3 health. Immediately she's gonna have oh my gosh, dude. This is just insane for Ashe LeBlanc. Ashe and LeBlanc both become 5/5s. Any 5 attack unit in that deck is a 5/5. The freaking Challenger is a 5/5. This is only 3 mana, dude. No, this is so broken. This is actually broken. Like, this is the type of landmark you actually have to Aftershock. If you play against Ashe LeBlanc, you have to Aftershock this immediately. There are so many units this works well with in Ashe LeBlanc. The 2-drop that gives you a stun, that's a 5/1. That's insane with this. I'm sure there are other ways to use this, but like Ashe LeBlanc has got to be the #1 deck this is ever getting played in. This does just kind of seem better than the Demacia landmark though. Am I crazy? Like, it's not going to work with the same cards. Those birds, the 4-mana birds are not going to work, right? Because it'll just be 2/2s. But there are like quite a lot of units that have really high attack and really low health. That's sort of just been a way a lot of units have been balanced. So to be able to just plop this down and be like, don't care, lol. Just gonna mess around with the numbers real quick. This is kind of ridiculous. You could also play this with something like Tristana or Master Yi, who can kind of like gain attack based on certain things, right? Maybe you wait till like turn 8, you drop Tristana, and because she has 10 attack, she is now a 10-10. This is almost like a budget Fuel the Rush. This is sort of like setting you up for a Fuel the Rush without actually having to play a spell, which means this is non-deniable. It works with like many units, and then you just drop your giant Tristana, or you drop your giant Pike, or you drop your giant Kale. Like, there's a lot of units that work really well with this just because they passively gain attack over the course of the game, and then you drop them, and they're huge. Yeah, I think this is going to enable a lot of cards that were, like, sort of unplayable. You just drop down a little 3-mana landmark, start of the game, and suddenly, like, Echo is a 4/4. That's kind of what made Echo a bad card, was that he was a 4/2. But if you just, like, splash Freljord to play your Echo deck, then suddenly Echo is playable. I could see this actually being very good in a lot of decks. This landmark seems like insane value for 3 mana. I think they're going to have to make it 4 mana. They probably wanted it to be 3 mana just to differentiate it from the Demacia landmark, but I think this is going to have to be 4 mana. This seems a little bit too broken at 3 mana. Also, it's kind of interesting to me that this is like a Frostbite or like true ice related card, because the ability has nothing to do with ice at all, does it? Like, it should say when you summon an ally, Frostbite it or something. I mean, that'd be terrible, but like, why does it grow its health? That doesn't make sense. You know what would be really funny? It would be hilarious if the way this landmark worked is if your unit got frostbitten, it automatically died. Like, what if it was like, allies have health equal to their power? And then if you like reduced an ally's attack, like if someone played Scrying Sands on your unit, it would lose health. That would be so cool. That would actually be a sick way for this landmark to work. Because then it's like a give and take. If they frostbite you, your unit just insta dies, just gets like obliterated because it has 0 HP. That would be so funny. That would actually be hilarious. I would love for that to be the way this landmark works. It actually is like a little bit boring in its current form. I feel like that'd be much more, like, it's basically the same thing, but just more interesting, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty broken as is. I think they're going to have to nerf this card eventually, because Ash LeBlanc is just going to... It's just going to run away with this card. It's just going to become, like, the best deck in the game. But yeah, that's it for today's card reveals. I'll see you tomorrow for day 7. Peace.